Ladies, let me tell you something important. Growth doesn't happen overnight. It happens every single day, one tiny step at a time. If you aim to improve just 1% every day, that's 365% improvement in a year. Do you see that? That's exponential growth. The secret to becoming the best version of yourself is not about making huge, impossible changes overnight. It's about showing up for yourself every single day and striving to be a little bit better than you were yesterday. Are you ready to own your growth? Are you ready to give it your all, even when the journey gets tough? It's easy to get caught up in the idea that success is a grand, dramatic leap that happens all at once. We all see people on social media, in the news or around us who seem to achieve greatness overnight. But let me tell you this, success is built through small, consistent actions, not giant leaps. Let's break this down. Think about a tree. It doesn't grow from a seed to a towering oak overnight. It takes time, patience, and constant nourishment. That's exactly how success works. When you start small and dream big, the most incredible things happen. Every great journey begins with a single step. No matter how big the dream, it all starts with the courage to start and the willingness to make that first small move. Let's take a real life example. Look at the gym. You've heard the cliche, start with baby steps. But it's true. You can't go into a gym, see someone lifting weights 10 times your size, and expect to be just like them in a day. You start with a few minutes on the treadmill, maybe some light weights, and you build. At first your muscles may ache, you might struggle to lift, but that's progress. Every drop of sweat, every set of weights you push through is a small victory. Those victories compound over time. Day by day you get stronger, and before you know it, you're not just lifting more, you're standing in a completely different place. Or think about learning a new language. You don't become fluent after 1 week of lessons. The first day you might only know how to say hello or thank you. But by practicing a little bit every day, maybe just 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, you'll slowly start recognizing words, forming sentences, and eventually you'll be holding full conversations. Small steps every day lead to extraordinary growth. This is the power of consistency and perseverance. Let's talk about entrepreneurs. Every business starts with an idea, sometimes just a spark of creativity. But that idea is just the seed. Think about the biggest names in the business world. Do you think Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, or Oprah Winfrey woke up one day with a multi-billion-dollar empire? Absolutely not. They started small, one small step at a time. Bezos started Amazon in his garage. Musk started space exploration, could be commercialized. They all faced setbacks, failures, and doubts. But what kept them going was the faith that each tiny improvement, each lesson learned would get them closer to their dreams. Take another example from everyday life, a writer. Writing a book isn't something that happens in a single sitting, and certainly not in one day. It's about sitting down every day and writing a few hundred words. At the start, it's easy to feel like you'll never reach the end, but with every page you get closer. Maybe the first chapter isn't perfect, but by chapter 3 you've learned how to tell the story better, and before you know it, your dream of writing that book becomes a reality. Because you started small and you kept going. This is how life works. It's not about making monumental, life-altering decisions every day. It's about making small, intentional choices. Every day you have the opportunity to take one small step forward. Whether that's reading for 10 minutes, writing 100 words, taking a walk, or simply working on your mindset, the point is to do something, even if it feels small. You won't always see the immediate results, but in a few months, a year, or 5 years, you look back and be astonished by how far you've come. That's the power of progress over perfection. The truth is, starting small gives you the freedom to fail, to learn, and to adjust your path. When you aim for the stars right away, you're setting yourself up for disappointment when things don't go as planned. But if you focus on the next step, the next small thing you can do, it suddenly becomes manageable. You get to build confidence, develop a growth mindset, and most importantly, you keep the momentum going. Remember, big dreams don't intimidate you when you break them down into bite-sized pieces. The universe rewards consistency. It rewards the people who show up every day, no matter how small the action, and keep moving forward. If you stay consistent, if you keep improving just 1% every day, you'll look back one day and realize you've achieved everything you once thought was impossible. Motivation is like the spark that gets you started, but consistency is the fire that keeps you going. We've all had those days when we wake up feeling energized, ready to take on the world with a list of goals to conquer. Motivation is high, the energy is flowing, and we believe that today is the day we're going to change our lives. But what happens when that initial excitement fades? What happens when obstacles appear, when the enthusiasm dims, and when things aren't going the way you expected? That's when consistency steps in. Think about the gym. You've probably experienced that surge of motivation to work out after seeing an inspiring fitness video or reading about someone's incredible transformation. The first few days are easy, right? You're in the gym pushing yourself hard, lifting heavier weights, running faster on the treadmill. It feels amazing. But after a week, that initial rush fades. You wake up tired with no energy to hit the gym. That's when motivation is no longer enough. This is when consistency is your hero. It's showing up even when you don't feel like it, even when you'd rather stay in bed. It's about making the commitment to your goals regardless of how you feel on any given day. The magic happens not when you push yourself to your absolute limits once, but when you continue to show up day after day, even on the days when it's hard. Look at the story of someone like Serena Williams, one of the greatest athletes in history. You think her success came from motivation alone? Absolutely not. Serena didn't wake up every day feeling motivated to go practice. It was consistency, day in and day out, over the course of years, that brought her greatness. She didn't win her titles because she was the most motivated person in the room. She won because she had the discipline to keep showing up, keep practicing, keep working on her skills, even when she didn't feel like it. That's the power of consistency. Now, let's talk about personal development. Maybe you've tried meditation or journaling in the past. In the beginning, you're excited to be starting something new. You set aside time and you dive right in. But as the days go by, the excitement fades. Your mind gets cluttered with responsibilities. Your routine gets busier, and suddenly that practice you started with so much intention becomes another thing you struggle to keep up with. That's when motivation isn't enough. Consistency is what's going to keep you grounded. It's those 5 minutes of journaling every day, the brief meditation session before bed, or the quick morning gratitude practice that add up. It's the commitment to yourself, to your mental and emotional growth that makes a difference. Over time, these little habits transform your life because they become a part of who you are, rather than something you only do when you're feeling motivated. Let's bring it closer to everyday life. How about relationships? We all know that relationships take work. The excitement at the beginning is high, but over time, the initial honeymoon phase fades. The people you care about don't want grand gestures every day. They want consistency. It's the small acts of love, like sending a message just to check in, remembering to say I love you, or offering a kind word on a tough day. You don't need to be motivated to make these gestures. You need to be consistent. Those tiny, consistent moments add up to something much bigger, a deeper, stronger connection that lasts through time. And here's something we all know to be true. Life doesn't care about your motivation. Life doesn't care about how passionate you feel in the moment. What life cares about is your ability to show up day after day, no matter how you feel. It's the act of continuing to pursue your goals when no one's watching, when no one's cheering you on, when it's hard and you want to quit. That's the true measure of success. When you can put aside how you feel and simply commit to doing the work, you're on the path to greatness. Let's take one more example. Think about a successful writer. When you first start writing, that book feels exhilarating. You're filled with ideas, creativity flows, and everything comes easy. But as time goes on, you hit roadblocks. You're stuck in the middle of your story, you doubt yourself, and you feel like giving up. But the writer who succeeds isn't the one who only writes when they feel inspired. The successful writer is the one who sits down at the desk every day, even when the words aren't flowing, even when the ideas aren't clear, and writes anyway. It's the consistency of showing up that leads to the completed manuscript, the published book, and the success. The bottom line is this: motivation is temporary. It's a feeling that comes and goes, but consistency is a mindset. It's a promise you make to yourself to keep going even when it's hard. It's what separates those who achieve their dreams from those who give up when the going gets tough. Whether it's the gym, your career, your relationships, or personal growth, if you can cultivate the discipline to show up, you'll find success, not because you felt motivated every day, but because you were consistent no matter what. Failure isn't the end of the road. It's just the beginning of a new journey. Too often we let failure define us. We let it convince us that we're not good enough, that we don't have what it takes, that we should quit. But what if I told you that failure is not a sign to stop, but a signal that you're on the right track? What if I told you that failure is simply an opportunity to fail forward? Let's think about something as basic as learning to ride a bike. When you first start, you fall. Maybe you fall a lot. Every time you topple over, it feels discouraging. But here's the key: you don't give up. You don't stop learning how to balance. You don't stop trying to pedal forward. You get back up and try again. And then one day, you find your balance. You're cruising down the street, wind in your hair, and you realize that all those falls weren't failures. They were lessons. Failing forward means learning from every misstep and using that knowledge to propel yourself to greater heights. Think about Thomas Edison, one of the most brilliant inventors in history. He didn't invent the light bulb after a single try. In fact, Edison is famous for saying, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." Imagine if he had stopped after his first or his 100th attempt. Failing forward means seeing failure not as a setback, but as a stepping stone to success. Each failed attempt brought Edison closer to the breakthrough that would change the world. He didn't just fail, he learned, adjusted, and came back stronger. That's how greatness is achieved. Or take a look at J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series. She faced rejection after rejection before finding a publisher. In fact, her manuscript was turned down by 12 publishers before it was finally accepted. If she had stopped after the first rejection, or the 10th, we wouldn't have Harry Potter today. Every no she received was not a failure, it was a lesson. She took each rejection in stride, used it to refine her work, and ultimately created a cultural phenomenon. Failing forward isn't just about accepting failure, it's about using it as fuel for your future success. Let's bring it closer to home. How many of us have tried and failed at a new job, a new skill, or a new relationship? Maybe we didn't get that promotion we worked so hard for. Maybe that business we started didn't take off the way we envisioned. Does that mean we should throw in the towel? No. It means we need to fail forward. When we fail, we gain valuable insights into what works and what doesn't. The lessons we learn from failure help us become more adaptable, more resilient, and more strategic in our approach to future challenges. Imagine starting a new career. You might feel excited at first, but the reality sets in quickly. It's hard, it's overwhelming, and there are moments when you wonder if you made the right choice. But those setbacks, they are not failures. They are simply opportunities to refine your approach. Maybe you didn't perform as well in that first project, or you struggled to build relationships with your new colleagues. Instead of letting that discourage you, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What do I need to improve? How can I adjust my strategy to do better next time? Look at how athletes fail forward every single day. Athletes like Michael Jordan, who was famously cut from his high school basketball team, or Serena Williams, who faced countless losses before becoming one of the greatest tennis players of all time. Every time they failed, they didn't give up. They used each loss as motivation to work harder, train smarter, and never stop improving. Failing forward is about recognizing that failure doesn't mean the end. It means the beginning of a new chance to grow, learn, and get better. Even in our personal lives, we often fail forward without even realizing it. Every argument, every falling out, every heartbreak teaches us something valuable. Maybe we learn better communication skills, or we learn to set stronger boundaries, or we learn what qualities are truly important in a relationship. Every challenge we face gives us the tools we need to create a better version of ourselves. And when we fail forward, we stop viewing those tough moments as personal defeats and start seeing them as opportunities to evolve. Failure is not something to fear, it's something to embrace. When you fail forward, you turn every setback into a lesson. You use each mistake as a stepping stone to climb higher. No one who has ever achieved greatness did so without failing along the way. The key is not to avoid failure, but to learn how to fail forward. To use every mistake, every misstep, every fall as an opportunity to get one step closer to success. So the next time you fail, don't stop, learn from it, grow from it, and keep moving forward. That's how champions are made. We are also focused on the big picture, the final goal, that we often forget to celebrate the small wins along the way. We get so caught up in the destination that we overlook the value of the journey. Every step, no matter how small, is a victory. Celebrate every win, no matter how big or small, because each victory is a testament to your strength, your progress, and your dedication. Let's think about something as simple as cooking a new recipe. The first time you attempt it, it's a challenge. You may have never tried this dish before, and there's a learning curve. You measure, you stir, you taste, and you make adjustments. And then, after all the effort, you finally serve the dish, and it's perfect. That moment, that little win of having cooked something successfully, is worth celebrating. It's a small victory, but it matters because it represents your growth, your ability to learn, and your willingness to try something new. Celebrating these small moments boosts your confidence and reminds you that you're capable of achieving more than you think. Now imagine a student preparing for exams. They study for weeks, cram late into the night, and push themselves to the limit. The final exam day comes, and after the test is over, the student is left wondering if they did enough. But in that moment, even before the results are out, there is a victory. The discipline it took to study, the determination to keep going even when it was tough, the resilience to push through the stress. These are wins that deserve to be celebrated. You see, it's not just about the final grade. It's about the effort, the commitment, and the growth that comes from the process itself. So, why wait for the result to celebrate? Celebrate the fact that you stayed dedicated, that you did everything you could, and that you showed up for yourself every single day. Think about someone who's been working on a fitness goal. Maybe they're training for a marathon, or maybe they're simply trying to live a healthier lifestyle. Each day they wake up, put on their sneakers, and lace up for that run or workout. It might be grueling at times. There are days when they're tired, days when they feel like skipping it, days when the progress feels too slow, but every time they finish a workout, they've won. That one extra rep, that extra minute on the treadmill, that additional step forward is a small victory. Each time they push themselves just a little further than yesterday, they're making progress, and that progress is worth celebrating. The journey itself is as important as the end result. And when the marathon day finally arrives, that celebration of the big win will feel even sweeter because of the countless small victories that led up to it. Even in our relationships, we often forget to celebrate the small wins. Perhaps you've been working on your communication skills, learning to be a better listener, or to express yourself more openly. Maybe there was a difficult conversation you had with a friend, a partner, or a family member, and it went better than expected. That's a victory. You've made progress in strengthening that relationship, and it's important to recognize that. It's so easy to focus on what's still broken, on what still needs fixing, but every time you improve, every time you grow as a person, those are wins worth acknowledging. Celebrate the fact that you were able to express yourself honestly, that you were able to work through a conflict, and that you were able to take steps toward a healthier relationship. And let's not forget the everyday wins, the ones that don't seem significant, but truly are. Maybe you woke up early and made your bed, or you managed to cook a healthy meal, or you didn't hit snooze on your alarm. These small actions, though seemingly insignificant, are wins. They are the building blocks of a disciplined, successful life. The simple fact that you took action when you didn't feel like it is a win in itself. The journey towards success is paved with these moments, and if you're not celebrating them, you're missing out on the incredible progress. Think about someone who is building a business. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a win. Maybe it's securing the first client, completing the first product prototype, or even creating the first website. Each milestone, no matter how small it may seem in the grand scheme of things, is a reason to celebrate. It's easy to get caught up in the end result, to think that the only time you can celebrate is when you've reached the peak. But the reality is, every step you take toward that peak is an accomplishment, and it deserves recognition. The process is as important as the result, so celebrate the wins, big or small, because they are all part of the journey that leads to success. We need to stop waiting for the big win to feel proud of ourselves. Every step, every effort, every accomplishment, no matter how small, is a reason to celebrate. When you take the time to acknowledge and honor your progress, you reinforce your self-worth, build momentum, and keep moving toward the life you're working so hard to create. So don't wait for the finish line to start celebrating. Celebrate every single win, because those wins are the foundation of everything you'll achieve. Perfectionism is a dream killer. It holds you back from pursuing what you truly desire because you're too afraid of making a mistake, too afraid of showing up imperfectly, too afraid of not meeting your own impossible standards. What if I told you that perfectionism is the very thing standing between you and your success? What if I told you that the true path to greatness lies in letting go of the need for everything to be flawless? Take a moment and think about a time when you hesitated to take action because you felt your idea, your work, or your project wasn't perfect. Maybe you were writing an email, creating a project, or launching a business. You sat there, adjusting every word, perfecting every detail, waiting for the perfect moment to hit send or to take that next step. But that moment never came. Why? Because perfectionism paralyzes you. It keeps you from moving forward. It makes you believe that if it's not perfect, it's not worth doing at all. Let's talk about an artist. Imagine an artist with incredible talent, but every time they pick up a paintbrush, they're consumed with fear that their painting won't be perfect. They think every brush stroke needs to be flawless. Every color needs to be just right. Every line needs to be exact. But because they're so focused on achieving perfection, they never complete the painting. They stay stuck in the process, obsessing over every tiny detail, never taking a step back to see the bigger picture. In reality, the world doesn't need perfect art. It needs authentic, bold, and unique expressions. The beauty of art comes from its rawness, its imperfections, and its ability to evoke emotion, not from how precise it is. The same goes for life. If you wait for things to be perfect before you take action, you'll never start. Think about a writer who has a book idea, but they never write it because they're too concerned about crafting the perfect plot, the perfect characters, the perfect ending. They keep thinking that their first draft has to be flawless, that every sentence must flow without flaw, that their words must reach the highest literary standard. But in doing so, they never even get past the first chapter. A first draft is never perfect. It's just a start. The beauty of writing comes in the revision, in the willingness to throw away the parts that don't work and to grow from the mistakes. But perfectionism stops that process from even happening. Consider a person working on a fitness goal. Maybe they're trying to lose weight, build muscle, or get in shape. They've researched everything, the perfect diet, the perfect workout routine, the perfect supplements. But because they're worried about doing it perfectly, they don't even begin. They skip the gym because they don't have the perfect workout gear, or they skip their meal prep because they don't have the perfect ingredients. But perfectionism isn't the goal, it's progress. The person who goes to the gym even when they don't have the perfect workout gear is the one who will eventually see results. The person who eats healthy even if they don't have a perfect meal plan will make progress. It's the small, consistent steps forward that matter most. In relationships, perfectionism can be even more damaging. Think about the pressure we put on ourselves to be the perfect partner, the perfect friend, or the perfect family member. We want to say the right things, do the right things, look the right way, but all of that pressure only leads to disappointment. True connection isn't built on perfection. It's built on authenticity, vulnerability, and showing up as we are. When we embrace the imperfections in our relationships, we allow space for real growth and connection. We learn from each other's flaws. We support each other in our weaknesses, and we grow stronger together. The moment we stop trying to be perfect, we give others the freedom to be themselves too. Let's take a look at an entrepreneur who is launching a business. They have an incredible vision, but they are stuck in the cycle of constantly tweaking their product, their website, their marketing strategy, always thinking that it's not good enough. They're waiting for perfection before launching. But by the time they launch, they've missed countless opportunities. Perfectionism keeps them from moving forward. The truth is, no business, no idea, no product is ever perfect when it's first launched. It's the willingness to start, to make mistakes, and to improve that leads to success. The first step is the hardest, but once you take it, everything else begins to fall into place. The most successful people in the world didn't get there by waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect set of circumstances. They got there by embracing the imperfect journey, by taking action even when they didn't have all the answers, by being willing to fail and learn along the way. They understood that perfection is an illusion and progress is real. Perfectionism doesn't lead to success, it leads to stagnation. So let go of the need to be perfect. Start messy, start with what you have, and let the process unfold. Every step you take, every mistake you make, every imperfection you embrace will get you one step closer to your goal. It's the imperfect steps that create the path to success. The people you surround yourself with have an undeniable impact on your growth. The energy, the mindset, the ambitions of the people around you will either fuel your growth or hinder it. Have you ever noticed that when you're around people who are always complaining, always stuck in a negative mindset, or always focusing on what's wrong, you start to feel drained? You start to feel like everything is harder than it needs to be? That's because they are feeding you a mentality that isn't conducive to progress. But when you surround yourself with growth-minded people, everything changes. Think about the person who is constantly striving for more. They are always learning, always pushing themselves beyond their limits, always striving for the next level. You see them reading books, attending workshops, seeking mentorship, and taking massive action toward their dreams. When you spend time with them, you can't help but feel the spark, the energy that they bring. You start to realize that you too are capable of more than you've been settling for. Growth-minded people have this magnetic effect. They inspire you to do more, be more, and become the best version of yourself. They challenge you to think bigger, to stop making excuses, and to start taking action. Take the example of a person who has always wanted to write a book, but they keep delaying it, putting it off, thinking that they're not good enough, or that they'll never have the time. One day, they meet someone who has written multiple books, who talks passionately about writing, who shares their strategies for overcoming writer's block and finding time to write. This person doesn't wait for the perfect moment to start, they just start. They surround themselves with other writers, they attend writing workshops, they seek feedback, and they keep writing, even when it's hard. Suddenly, the person who was unsure about writing starts to feel inspired, motivated, and ready to take action. They realize that success doesn't happen in isolation. It happens when you align yourself with people who believe in your potential and push you to reach for your goals. Now think about a group of friends who spend their time talking about their dreams, their businesses, their health goals, and their personal growth. They aren't afraid to share their failures because they understand that every failure is an opportunity to learn. When you spend time with them, you realize that failure isn't something to be ashamed of, it's something to embrace. They create an environment where risk-taking is celebrated, where growth is a priority, and where everyone supports each other. They share resources, knowledge, and encouragement that elevate everyone in the group. You start to feel empowered to take risks, to pursue your dreams, and to go after what you want with unwavering confidence. Surrounding yourself with people who are focused on growth shifts your own mindset towards success. Now let's look at the entrepreneur who is building their business. They've been working hard, but the journey is tough. They have moments of doubt, moments when they wonder if they're on the right path. But then they connect with other entrepreneurs who are also hustling, who are facing the same challenges, who are finding creative ways to solve problems and keep moving forward. These entrepreneurs become a source of support, motivation, and shared wisdom. When they see someone else overcoming obstacles, it inspires them to do the same. They share ideas, they collaborate, and they hold each other accountable. It's not about competition, it's about community. And in this community of growth-minded individuals, they find the strength to push through their doubts, take the next step, and grow their business to new heights. In every aspect of life, whether it's fitness, business, personal development, or relationships, the people you surround yourself with will either elevate you or keep you stuck. When you surround yourself with growth-minded individuals, you start to believe that anything is possible. You start to think bigger, take more risks, and set higher standards for yourself. You stop letting your fears control you because you know that everyone around you is pushing through their own fears and finding success. Their success becomes your inspiration. But what happens when you're surrounded by people who are stagnant, negative, or not interested in growth? You begin to adopt their mindset. You start making excuses, you start doubting yourself, and you stop taking action. Your dreams start to feel distant and your potential starts to shrink. This is why it's crucial to choose your inner circle wisely. Surround yourself with people who believe in you, who see the greatness in you, and who will challenge you to grow beyond your limits. Growth-minded people not only inspire you, they also hold you accountable. They remind you of your goals, they push you when you're feeling lazy, and they celebrate your wins as if they were their own. They create an environment where everyone is striving for more, where everyone is committed to becoming the best versions of themselves. And when you're surrounded by that kind of energy, it's almost impossible not to rise to the occasion. You will start to take actions you never thought possible. Dream bigger dreams and step into your true potential. Your health is your greatest asset. You can have all the success in the world, all the wealth, and all the recognition, but without good health, none of it will matter. True success starts with a healthy mind, body, and soul. When you neglect any of these areas, you're not operating at your full potential. But when you nurture them, you unlock the kind of power and energy that will propel you to heights you never imagined. Think about your body. It's the only one you have, and if you want it to work for you, you need to take care of it. When you put in the effort to eat nutritious foods, exercise regularly, and get enough sleep, you feel the difference. You have more energy, more strength, more endurance to chase your dreams. But it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you're too busy for health, too busy to work out, too busy to eat right, too busy to take care of yourself. You push through the exhaustion, the aches, the fatigue, because you think it's just part of the process. But neglecting your body only leads to burnout, stress, and eventual breakdown. Imagine trying to run a marathon without ever